The Browns are at home right now while the Bengals are getting ready for an AFC championship game. I really don't like saying that, but they have the talent on the roster to be competing in the Super Bowl. So if you think the Browns should go and make a big push to bring in Aaron Rodgers, go ahead and like this video. We'll talk about how realistic an Aaron Rodgers trade is and a connection he has with a Cleveland Browns coaching staff member. All of that coming up on today's video. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. I'm Matthew Peterson. We got a lot of news and rumors to cover on today's show. Even if the Browns aren't playing, it's still the NFL, and you know the NFL never takes a day off. So, coming up on today's show, does Aaron Rodgers have a real connection to the Cleveland Browns, or are we kind of grasping at straws here? Pretty ugly departure, I would say, coming between Rodgers and the Packers, and maybe the Browns can smell blood in the water and try and swoop in number 12. Then we'll go on to some QB free agent targets. Andrew Berry should be looking at maybe push Baker along a little bit and bring in some healthy competition. And then finally, Baker chimes in on the playoffs a little bit and stirs the pot, which he unfortunately has a bad habit of doing. But the first topic on today's show, Aaron Rodgers. Does he have a real link to Cleveland? Is this a grassroots project, or is there an actual realistic path for Aaron Rodgers to be traded to the Cleveland Browns? You got to understand why this trade could happen, and that's you got to understand that the Packers and Rodgers have not had a graceful couple last seasons in terms of expectations. Sure, they have made it to the playoffs. Sure, they have won a couple playoffs games, got the 1 seed, 13-3, but early playoff exit year after year, and early to them is not winning the Super Bowl, has left Rodgers and the Packers with kind of a bad taste in their mouth. Rodgers is rather unsure on where his future will be, and I would like his future to be anywhere but Green Bay. I would like it to be in Cleveland. In fact, he's got a tie to the Browns, and that is the Browns offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt. He's been with Cleveland since 2020, but beforehand, not too long ago, he was with the Packers for 5 years, 2012 to 2017, and for a couple of those seasons, he was the quarterback coach. He was working hand with Aaron Rodgers day in and day out. And maybe Alex Van Pelt can send a text, send a fax, pick up the phone, do something to call Aaron and be like, hey, I know maybe you want to go and play somewhere warmer and maybe you want to go closer to your home state of California, but how about you come on down to Cleveland? We got a pretty good defense here, and we can pick up where we left off. The idea of Aaron Rodgers being traded, not far-fetched at all. Aaron Rodgers, after the playoff loss against the 49ers, said this: I'm going to take some time and have conversations with the folks around here and then take some time away and make a decision, obviously, before free agency. All the Aaron Rodgers trade rumors goes back to last season. He was upset when they drafted Jordan Love, and then you'd have an MVP season. And he's like, wow, I wish we used that first-round pick on a contributor for this team. And we just fell short of the Super Bowl once again, losing in the NFC Championship game. This year, they don't even make it to the NFC Championship game. They lose at home and only score 1 touchdown. Aaron Rodgers, though, we mentioned him and AVP have some history. They go back. Well, when Alex Van Pelt left the Packers, I don't know how mutual that was. In fact, Rodgers was pretty upset about it. Here's where his own words a couple of years ago after the two moved on. Well, my quarterback coach didn't get retained. I thought that was an interesting change, really without consulting me. There's a close connection between quarterback and quarterback coach, and that was an interesting decision. That's putting it lightly. You could tell Rodgers is pissed off about this because it's his quarterback coach. He's an MVP. At the time, he had already won them a Super Bowl. And so you can really feel the tension in the air, and that was a couple of years ago. That's why I think a trade's going to happen. It's about where the trade's going to go to. And that's where the link is between him and Cleveland. He clearly had a bit of a crush on AVP. Maybe he wants to hook up with him and get the band back together. I wouldn't hold your breath, though, on Aaron Rodgers being traded to the Cleveland Browns. One, the Browns don't have a lot to offer in terms of draft capital to get Rodgers. They got the number 13 pick in this year's draft, so not even a top 10 pick. They don't have a ton of else picks. They don't have another team's second or third round pick. They've got a Lions fourth round pick, if memory serves me correctly. They just don't have a ton of draft capital to wow the Packers compared to a team like the Eagles, for example, who have 3 first round picks. The Broncos, who have a first, 2 seconds, and 2/3. So I just don't know if the Browns can match that ammunition. But if you think Aaron Rodgers is leaving the Packers, go ahead and drop an L in the comment section. Or if you think he's staying, give me an S. Let me know what you guys think below. I think he's leaving. Maybe you're Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you're watching this and you're like, no, I like cheese too much. I don't want to leave Wisconsin. Let me know what you think below. Moving on to the next story on today's show. Can Baker Mayfield win a Super Bowl for the Browns? Well, Browns Twitter was pretty active yesterday during that wild AFC Divisional Round matchup between the Chiefs and the Bills, but really between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And we, of course, all remember Cleveland picked Baker Mayfield first overall in the 2018 NFL Draft over Josh Allen, which now doesn't look good. And Andrew Berry didn't make that pick. John Dorsey made that pick. But still, that's something that's going to sit on Browns fans' minds for years, that they could have had Josh Allen. Not many people were super high on Josh Allen. So it's not like the Trubisky and Watson and Mahomes type draft. In fact, a lot of Bills fans are pissed about the Josh Allen pick. But can Baker Mayfield win a Super Bowl for the Cleveland Browns? That was kind of the topic of Browns Twitter was, look at Josh Allen, look at Patrick Mahomes. We're never going to win because we don't have them. Well, I'll say this. Jimmy Garoppolo and Matthew Stafford are in the NFC Championship game. And if they can make it, so can Baker. In fact, Baker went to Kansas City first week of the season and then in the divisional round last year and went toe-to-toe with Mahomes. So I don't think it's too outlandish to believe Baker can beat those guys. But Baker on Twitter yesterday, what are we doing, man? He tweeted this out after the game. Congrats to all teams moving forward. Some extremely competitive football was played this weekend. Was entertaining to watch. Would absolutely much rather be playing, but was fun to watch. Listen, I don't have an issue with a team or a player tweeting about the playoffs when they just missed the playoffs and are getting caught up in the fun playoff antics, even if it's a team like the Chiefs who they don't like. But Baker, read the room, dude. Like, the entire fan base is so disappointed that the Browns missed the playoffs this year. Just don't talk about it, right? Just avoid it altogether. You're just going to stir the pot. And he would go on and be like, gosh, social media can be so toxic sometimes. Yeah, people shouldn't probably be, giving you body blows in the mentions. But the fan base is a little edgy. And you're going to go out and poke it a little bit by saying, what a fun playoffs. No shit, Sherlock. We wish we were in them. Why are you talking about it? Read the room, dude. Can Baker Mayfield win the Browns a Super Bowl, though? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Rex Grossman went to a Super Bowl. Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. Is it an ideal candidate? I don't think I'd put all my eggs in that basket, but I've seen crazier stuff happen. And like I mentioned, you look at the other two QBs left in this year's playoffs on the NFC side. You got Jimmy Garoppolo and Matthew Stafford. And Stafford was with some bad Lions teams and hasn't always shown his best at times. And then Jimmy G clearly is a quarterback that is not carrying his team, but his team is carrying him further and further into the playoffs. So if those guys can reach it this far, sure, Baker Mayfield can too. But it is tough when you have to go up against Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and appearing so Joe Burrow for a couple straight years now, decades potentially, 10, 15 years. And like I said earlier, Baker nearly beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs last year, came down to the end, and then they were beating the crap out of the Chiefs in the first half of the game, first half of the week one this year. So I don't think it's too far-fetched to be like, no, there's no way Baker can ever compete with these guys. Those guys, Josh Allen had a couple bad stretches during the season this year, and Patrick Mahomes had a bad first quarter of the year. So you catch him on an off day and you catch Baker on a good day, yeah, it can happen. Staying on Baker Mayfield, though, like we mentioned to start the show, what about some free agent targets? Because I think Andrew Berry, the GM of the Browns, needs to bring in some bigger competition. No disrespect to Case Keenum. Case is a nice guy. I bet he gets, he gets good. Case Keenum gets a bucket of beers for the table even when no one asks because he's that kind of guy. But I don't know if Case Keenum is going to push Baker Mayfield to get the best out of him. Before we get to the free agent targets, I would look at, if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, hit that big red button. Help us reach 4,500 subscribers today. We're 42 away, something like that. We are knocking on the doors. Hit that big red button and subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, like these guys right here, appreciate you joining the channel. Give some shout outs here. Sean Andrews, Baranova, I think I got that, probably not. Almighty Lou Will, Garriette, that sounds French. Ed Ackle and Patrick Northern. Appreciate you guys subscribing. If you ever want to get a shout out on the show, hit that big red button. We're doing it all the time. Free agent targets I would be looking at if I was Andrew Berry. Jameis Winston and Teddy Bridgewater are the highest tier. The next guys are kind of in their own second tier. Trubisky, I don't know what his future will be, meaning if he's going to want to stick in Buffalo and be a backup, or if he wanted to do like a one-year kind of rehab in Buffalo and then go back and pursue a starting role elsewhere. Mariota has hardly threw one pass this year, 2-3 passes this year. He has not thrown much the last 2 years. Andy Dalton, I think he's just the best of the rest, but I wouldn't want him whatsoever. Having said all that, Baker needs to be pushed, and meaning the Browns can't just mail it in with a mediocre backup and go, all right, Baker, the quarterback spot is yours. There's no competition whatsoever. Even if you're not having a good couple of weeks, don't even worry. We'll never even consider putting a backup in. No. You got to, after last season, I get it, he was hurt, and that's got to be factored in. They have to push him a little bit more, and they got to bring in a bigger name to light a little bit of a flame beneath Baker's bottom. Should the Browns sign a bigger name free agent quarterback? I mean, S for sign or P for pass. Case Keenum's under contract, so he's not going to be going away. The Browns can part ties with him. In fact, he's got like a $6.5 million cap hit, and it's only a $1.5 million dead cap hit if the Browns do release him. So maybe they'll look to do that, but he's still under contract. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Before we get to the rest of today's video, our sportsbook partner, BetUS, is powering today's show. When you go to chatsports.com/bet, remember, have to use that link. With the promo code Browns125, you get a 125% deposit bonus, and you can bet on the Super Bowl already. In fact, some Super Bowl futures are out there. I put $20 on the Rams plus 200 before the show even started. So, in other words, if you bet $100, you're going to win 200. That's what that plus 200 means. Bengals plus 100 is a great payout, but here's what I'm going to get at. You got to make the bets now, because once the Super Bowl matchup is set, you'll be betting if you think the Rams or Chiefs are going to win. You're going to get horrible returns. So bet now. That way, when the Super Bowl Sunday comes around, you've already got a future, and you've got the best payout, most likely, of anyone at your Super Bowl watch party. People are like, I put $10 on the Rams. How much are you going to win? 9? Really? I put 10, and I'm winning 20. Make your bets today over at BetUS. Getting back to the free agent talk, though. If the Browns do want to go out and sign a Teddy Bridgewater or Jameis Winston, it's not going to be a cheap backup. Those are higher-end backups, and they're going to cost more. But I think spending an extra couple $1 million for a better backup is worth the investment. I've identified these two guys as my top two targets of backup quarterbacks, Jameis Winston and Teddy Bridgewater. Those are their stats for this season. Very different season. Winston, of course, tearing his ACL midway through the season, so not really sure what he'll look like in August next year, if he'll be ready. That could definitely have an impact. And Teddy Bridgewater had a scary concussion to end the season. Probably not coming back to Denver, but I think those are the two upper echelon free agent targets. I kind of like Winston more than Bridgewater. I think Winston's a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater, but Winston will probably cost more. I bet he was signed to a 1-year, $5.5 million contract going into this past season. Probably raised it up a little bit, but then again, he tore his ACL, so probably knocks him down from a long-term deal. Maybe you sign him to a $10 million contract. That's a lot for a backup quarterback, but you've got to push Baker a little bit, and you got to sign a better backup quarterback to do so. Wrapping up the show, I don't want to pick on Arthur, but I saw this tweet, and I've seen this floated around Brown's Twitter and Facebook pages and message boards I'm in about comparing Baker's first 4 seasons to the likes of Drew Brees and Brett Favre. Arthur, you're just the last guy I saw this, so don't take offense to this, but I've seen it one too many times that I have to address it. Baker Mayfield compared to Drew Brees and Brett Favre in their first 4 seasons blows them out of the water. You look at the numbers, he's got way more yards, more touchdowns, more interception. So people have been like, don't give up on Baker just yet. Look how he stacks up to Drew Brees and Brett Favre in their first 4 seasons, and look how they turned out. Yeah, you're leaving out one key stat, though. Baker in 4 years has played in 60 games. Drew Brees in his first 4 years played in 43. That's a 17-game difference. He basically played in one less season. Brett Favre played in 11 fewer games. So I'm tired of seeing this comparing Baker to Breeze and Favre in their early couple of years of their careers and be like, look at how they turned out. Don't give up just yet. Yeah, they also played way less, and they also played an offense that did not nearly pass as much as the offenses today in the NFL do. So I'm just not buying that, but we'll hopefully put that to bed. Wrapping up the show here, what's your Super Bowl prediction? Curious what you guys are thinking on this one. I'm leaning Rams-Chiefs. I said my Super Bowl prediction a couple weeks ago was Rams-Bills. That looked pretty good until 13 seconds were left on the clock in the AFC Divisional Round. But I'm going to go Rams-Chiefs. Let me know what your predictions are down below. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you later here on the Browns Report.